Yeah,
so
he's athletic,
I don't
though.
know which kind of role he assumes.
He's like probably a less explosive Max Crosby, but around the same length. Like, think Anthony Nelson, but more athletic. And he almost led the nation in sacks when he was at Penn State in college. So he can ball. He can play. I was high on him coming out of college. I really thought the Raiders should have took him. But, the same way they could have had Darius Slay. They just pass on really great players. And then be like, we couldn't afford him in free agency 5 years later.
Well, I think the Raiders still have to make I like what the Raiders did, like, in terms of getting, like I said, a solid, starters or players who are ascending on the right side of 30 for fair market value at positions of need. Like, I'm all for it, but ultimately they still need game changers and playmakers, and as long as they're able to essentially go into the draft with the mindset of, okay, we're going to take the best game breaker, the best player available in every single pick, and they can get a playmaker at corner, a playmaker at receiver, a playmaker at linebacker, and a good interior lineman, I could see this team making some noise. But until then, like, just off free agency alone, I can see them being better, but I don't really know how much better because they're still putting together a lot of guys. Now, these guys are slightly better than the guys they put together last year, but it also kind of just depends on their schedule and how everything else shapes up. But, yeah.
Yeah. But speaking of
all right, so can we play a touchdown or turnover real quick? Or?
Yeah, I was actually going to get to that. I had one question, though.
Go ahead.
Okay, so actually, no, this actually works for this game, so let's just do it. Touchdown to turnover.
Hey, we got sound back. Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Touchdown to turnover. Actually, you know what? Speaking of which. That feels great. Okay. So, touchdown to turnover. Malcolm Jenkins re-signs with the Saints, and Saints head coach Sean Payton said letting him walk in free agency was one of the biggest mistakes of my career.
Turnover as fuck. Because, yes, he got better after leaving the Saints and pretty much became a Pro Bowler.
All-Pro, too, I think.
All-Pro. But, because they let him go, they were able to make other moves in the secondary, like get Latimer and the safety who got mossed for that last touchdown, who went to my school, Marcus Williams. There you go.
Latimer didn't get mossed. Marcus Williams got mossed out of Utah.
Yeah, so without those, those players are pretty much building blocks for them. So had they had Jenkins, I don't know if they would have been that aggressive drafting players in the secondary. So I'm going to say it's a turnover.
Okay. Next one.
Okay, I got one for you.
Okay.
Stephon Diggs essentially forced his way out of Minnesota. He lands with the Bills, who gave up a first-round pick and 3 other picks to get him. So Stephon Diggs on the Buffalo Bills in the NFC East, is that a touchdown or is that a turnover?
The AFC East, that's a touchdown. It's a touchdown because Cole Beasley, John Brown, and Stephon Diggs can essentially interchange their different roles. So Josh Allen just has more weapons and has less excuses now.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And I didn't believe in him.
Right.
But, hey, he's gotten better. Kudos to him.
All right, man. So the Raiders signed Jason Witten, $4.7 million.
You stole my question.
Even though they have 3 tight ends already, one of them a Pro Bowler, is that a touchdown or is that a turnover?
The biggest turnover. What is he going to do? Broadcast?
Where is he going to play?
What is he going to do? Broadcast the practice rooms? He's going to lead the tight end meetings?
I made this joke on the Black Tuesday podcast, which I was on this week twice, but I made the joke, like, are they just trying to get together the Avengers of, like, broadcast media? Like, are they trying to just kill the NFL podcast game with Mayock, Gruden, and Witten? Like, is that the goal? Because they already have 3 tight ends. They all have each, easily defined roles. And now you're just going to bring Witten in there to kind of mix it up.
Slow-ass possession receiver?
Yeah, Moreau has to be hurt. I think that's what it is Moreau's maybe hurt more than they anticipated. So,
but there are other tight ends out there who are younger and cheaper. You could have drafted. You could have drafted a tight end. There's tight ends in this draft that they could easily draft.
I think it's also part of the red zone. They wanted to give them an extra red zone target, whether it's Mariota or Carr. They've both been, pretty reliant on the tight end.
2 words.
So I think that's also one.
I'm gonna give you 2 words. Okay, he's still a free agent too. 2 words.
Delaney Walker.
No, even though that's actually really that would be a better option. You ready? Eric Ebron.
Yeah, go.
Eric Ebron. Perfect red zone threat.
Yeah, but nobody's trying to pay him $10 million.
Yeah, he might end up with Green Bay though. That would actually be perfect.
Colts, Ebron, or are you getting?
I'm getting Colts. Nah, Colts Ebron, because he knows what he was with the Colts, and they actually played up to that. He was a downfield threat. He actually made plays. You can't just luck into getting 13 touchdown catches in a year. You don't just luck into that. Yes, that was an accidental pun, but whatever. Either way. All
right, man. So last one, Stephon Diggs. Darius Slay, essentially lands with the Philadelphia Eagles for a 3rd-round pick. They were also in the rumors to get Ngakoue. So getting Slay over Ngakoue, is that a touchdown or is that a turnover?
Touchdown. Phillies had a revolving door at cornerback for a while now. And if you lose Malcolm Jenkins and you get back Darius Slay, that helps your safeties. Because he is one of the best man-to-man cover corners in the league since he came out. Which, by the way, I said the Raiders should have took him coming out of Mississippi State.
I feel like Ronald Darby's of the Patriots.
He's a free agent, but yeah, he might.
Right?
That could work.
I could see that happen.
They got McCourty back. McCourty and his brother went back to the Patriots. So the Patriots. McCourty's one of the best free safeties in the league, right? I know he's a Patriot. You hate him like Rodney Harrison, but he's actually really good. The last great Rutgers. I'm going to say he's the last great Rutgers DB. Jason McCourty.
Yeah.
All right.
And Patrick Chung rates pretty well on PFF and is a Pro Bowler as well. So
I'll put him at linebacker. He's actually pretty stable at Madden.
There you have it.
There you have it.
Eagles Patrick Chung. That's all I have to
say. Okay. So let's play our next game.
This podcast.
Okay. We kind of touched on it earlier, but take a tangent. Jacksonville Jaguars clean house by trading Nick Foles.
I guess my take on it is this: trading Nick Foles isn't really a big deal. I just feel like Jacksonville overall doesn't really seem like they have a plan anymore. A year ago, or 2 years ago, it was they had this defense that everybody was excited for, and now a lot of those guys are gone, and the guys that are there are pretty much kind of overpaid, not performing where they need to be, or they're already gone or want to be gone. So I get why Jacksonville is starting over, but it just seems like they're always starting over. It seems like they're either always this perennial 8-8 team, or they have these one-off good years and then they they're just back to 6-10 range. So honestly, I mean, I don't really have a take or a tangent on Jacksonville because it's like they're just not really relevant. It just kind of makes you feel bad. Just even seeing Jacksonville logo or thinking about Jacksonville, like, just like, damn, like, what is being a Jacksonville Jaguar fan? Like on one hand, like, you had all this success, but on the other hand, like, your trees have fallen so many times in the forest and nobody's heard them. Like, at what point are you just silent?
Ouch. That was painful. Damn.
Like, I just feel bad. Like,
so what you're saying is they don't. So what you're saying is they're not a fan of.
You play to win the game.
They don't do that.
What I'm saying is, trading Foles or not, it doesn't really matter because I still don't even know what the direction that team is. Like,
paying him was worthless.
Not only was paying him worthless, but like their whole team is set up to have like a great defense, and now they're essentially trading all these pieces, and now it's like, okay, now you just have a bunch of pieces of a great defense. So are you going to refill the pantry with other pieces, or are you going to go out and, you know, try to actually build up the offense, which was the issue in the first place? Like,
poor Leonard Fournette. Leonard Fournette.
Yeah.
And DJ Chalk.
Yeah, I know.
DJ Chalk had 1,000 yards receiving, and I don't know who the hell was throwing to him most of the time. But anyway.
All right, man. But you got any other one? Because I don't really got any.
I got one last one.
All right,
people ignoring social distancing and partying on spring break. Take or tangent?
Ugh. This one's tough because it's like, on one hand, you want to be like, I don't want this dumbass disease to own my life. Like, YOLO, like, you know, the world might end. Like, might as well live it up. Which I understand and get. But at the same time, it really does make a difference. Like, all the studies have shown, like, all the cases, like, even just anecdotally, like, the more that people stay inside, the less this thing spreads. So it's like, what else are you going to do but try to do what everybody else is doing? Like, as somebody who routinely zags when everybody else is zigging, I'll just say you don't always have to do that. And, like, for me personally, like, I know this weekend, frankly, I couldn't do the social distancing just because, like, I told my girl this, but, like, I used up all my flakes. Like, I've been flaking all year. So, like, this past weekend was, like, the first weekend I've been social in a while, and it was, like, really forced more than anything. Like, not forced as in, like, oh, I have friends. Like, oh, I'm, like, that's such a bad thing. It's just, like, I knew it was a risk going out, but I did it anyways just because, like, I care about my friends and like, I hadn't seen them. So I did that, and then now, obviously, these cases of the Nets and now the Lakers is kind of, like, putting me in question. Like, you know, I feel fine and healthy, but I'm just erring on the side of caution, just trying to stay in now as much as I can because I do be out in these streets, all these events, so just taking the precautions.
Well,
but yeah, that's it.
Yeah, well,
if you can't do it, you should do it. Like, you shouldn't not do it just because you don't want to do it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you have to get into a situation where you have to venture out and you have to be close to people, and that's one thing, but just going out and partying, like, to party, like, it's not worth the risk. You know what I'm saying? Like, I did that because I wanted to see my friends, and it was worth it to me for that. But if you're just going out because it's spring break and you feel like you need to, like, you definitely don't need to. Like,
and avoid massage parlors.
The governor of California is telling you not to. Like, literally ordering you not to.
And avoid massage parlors.
But Vegas has drive-through strip clubs, so, yeah.
Yeah, they closed down. Spearmint Rhino's closed. A lot of places are just... They're still open, but they're kind of closed.